Spinal Palm and his girlfriend Princess Proton were approaching their first year together. It had been a rocky road since they argued from time to time, so Spinal Palm decided to surprise Princess Proton at her house since she was working late. Her mum was there, who was happy that he was going to surprise her since their fights had usually ended badly. A few hours later, Princess Proton texted Spinal Palm telling him that she had something to tell him. Confused, he waited a few minutes for another text from her when the front door flew open. It was Princess Proton, who fell down with her skirt off as well as his best friend. Spinal Palm asked what was going on. Being drunk, she explained through slurred words that she had sent him a breakup text. He checked his phone for the text while his best friend walked away slowly. Turned out she had forgotten to send the text.
When Melissa was younger, she went to her friend Andy Mation's bowling party. She was running a little late, and when she walked in, everybody was already there having fun. All of a sudden, everyone ran over to Elaine. She walked over to see what the commotion was about, and she was not disappointed. A dog was sitting at the lane, bowling. It walked up to a kid's bowling ramp and pushed the ball down. The dog had rolled a strike. Everyone bursted out cheering for the dog, and the owner carried it on her shoulders. It was the greatest thing that she had ever seen.
One time in middle school, Hellbent was sitting with his friends in the lunchroom when they dared him to pour a steaming hot chocolate in his pants. Not one to chicken out of theirs, Hellbent took his hot cup and poured it directly in his underpants. His penis immediately felt like it was on fire, and he screamed, but his friends just laughed, so he ran straight to the toilet. After rinsing his wiener under a tap, changing his pants, he returned to his friends. He thought it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen.
In grade 6, I had a really difficult French test coming up, and I knew I wouldn't do so well with the amount of time I had to study. So I booted up Photoshop and made a fake ingredients label for my vitamin water bottle, printed it off, and stuck it around the bottle. I kept it on my desk and looked over at it whenever I needed to. My teacher didn't suspect a thing, and I passed with flying colors.
What's the weirdest things ever happened to me at work? So when I was a little bit younger, I helped my dad out when he was rearing some greyhounds for the greyhound races. And so one time, my job was to hold onto this greyhound and stop him from escaping because we were outside the main gate of this rearing place. And so I just had to grab the greyhound around the neck with both my arms. Now, bear in mind, greyhounds, if you guys don't know, they're very, very bulky, well-built dogs. They're almost pure muscle, that's why they do the races. They're like little horses. So they're fucking strong. And so, as I was holding this thing, it started kind of writhing around and, you know, trying to get loose. And, you know, I kept getting told, like, don't let him go. If you let him go, he's gonna fucking run off. These things are fast as shit. And you'll never see it again. And so, every muscle in my body was dedicated to holding this dog. It started flipping out. And so I was rolling on the ground. I was getting scratched to hell. Like, it was starting to tear my face off. And I was scared. I was like, oh, this dog's gonna get out and, like, it's just gonna go missing. It's gonna be my fault. And so I was having a wrestling match with this dog, which was absurdly strong. And so by the end, I'd been holding on to it for about 10 minutes and I was just exhausted. I was beaten, and then it managed to get out of my grip. And you know what it did instead of running away? It just walked over to the gate, just kind of stood there, you know, just waiting. I was like, what? Why the fuck was I holding it then? What? I nearly risked my life, and the dog just kind of stands there and it's just like, you know. And then the gate opened, it walked in, I was like, well, fuck me then. What was the point of all that? You know, I was covered in dirt, bruises, I was bleeding, and then I'll go over this dog and it's totally fun. I'm like, yeah, thanks.
So I dated a guy long distance once. I'd met him before we decided to make it long distance, and he really seemed to care a lot about me. We'd IM each other every day on Yahoo, and I really enjoyed talking with him. After I got comfortable enough with him, I started talking to him about how it was funny how my mom always likes to talk about diarrhea, and that she has her own song about it. He replied with, "I'm trying to eat." I immediately felt embarrassed, and he didn't talk to me for a while, and then suddenly he just broke up with me. It could have been for other reasons. I mean, long-distance relationships aren't for everyone. but I'll always wonder if it was because I tried to talk to him about my mom's shit. During class one day, Nixium decided to jerk off under the table, but was careful not to make it look too obvious. Then the teacher asked if he was sick. Thinking she was asking the kid behind him, who had been coughing a lot, Nixium kept jacking off. He continued to do that for a while until he ejaculated, which is when the teacher told him to step outside. So he stepped into the hallway with the teacher behind him. She asked him what he thought he was doing, to which Nixium responded,
It's a medical condition and my dick gets really itchy.
The teacher led him back into class, and when he sat down, all his classmates began to laugh. It turns out that they overheard their conversation.
When he was 10, Derek and his brother were fake wrestling. Derek moved his hand in a way where he ended up scratching his brother, drawing a little blood. As punishment, he had to spend the night in his puppy's travel crate. Not only was he crammed inside all night, but it was also freezing. After the punishment, Derek learned that he should be careful whenever trying to have fun with his siblings.
Doopy used to work nights in the ER. One night, she had on some electric blue nail polish. While she was working, a senior pulled her to the side. With two other people standing around the corner, he said in a low voice, "Show me your hand, the left one." Doopy stuck her hand out and immediately grabbed it and stuck her finger into one of the machines to read her vitals. After the machine was finished, he said, "Okay, it's confirmed. Her oxygen levels are fine. It's just nail polish." Apparently the doctors in the ER had a bet going on whether Doopy was dying and her nails were turning blue, or if it was just polish. And sticking a finger in the machine was easier than just asking her.
Spinal Palm took the bus home one day. He sat in the back listening to music. A couple of stops later, a drunk middle-aged man stepped on. On the way to the back of the bus, he noticed the drunk man almost falling a few times. Once he got to Spinal Palm's row, he sat as close to him as he could. At first, he ignored the man and tried to focus on his music, but the man screamed for attention. Not wanting to be rude, Spinal Palm listened to the man's story. The man told him about his house, his wife, and the reason why he was so drunk. He didn't care about what the man was telling him until he blurted out about how Spinal Palm was fat and said it was because all kids nowadays just play video games. The man went on to say that if he wanted to be in shape like him, then he should go out and explore. He even suggested he go down to a ditch, find a fox or some other animal, and then flay it with a pocket knife. Spinal Palm was angry, yet baffled. As soon as the man got off the bus, he just laughed.
When Melissa was 10, she was at recess when a kid in kindergarten brought a little puppy outside. The puppy ran, and when it did, the kid said,
Run, bitch, run! If you don't run, you won't get these snacky wackies, bitch!
Melissa went to the kid and said,
"Don't call your dog that. It's rude."
but the kid said,
Well, my daddy told me that a girl dog is called a bitch, so we call our dog Bitch.
Melissa laughed so hard she almost choked on the sandwich that she was eating.
Sometimes when people have a lot to drink, they get a little bit confused. One of the most common slip-ups I see is grabbing the wrong drink. The big problem with that is not everything inside of a cup is a drink. Once I saw a guy grab a cup that somebody was spitting tobacco in and gulp it down. At first I was pretty pissed off, but then I saw the look of disgust and terror on his face and, well, it was pretty funny.
My biggest secret will be that I once stole a street sign. One night I was hanging out with some friends. I've got a friend called Jackson. I lived around the corner from a street called Jackson Street. We were talking about the street sign and the conversation got around to saying, hey, I've got a wrench in the car. We could steal that sign, because this was back in the day when the signs were not fastened quite so securely on the lampposts. So we went down and in the cover of darkness, climbed up the pole and started to unscrew the sign. And as any car came past, we'd have to climb down real quickly and hide. So it took like 5 times as long. But at the end of the night, we had a street sign. And we didn't get arrested, and Jackson now has proudly displayed in his house a Jackson Street street sign.
When he was in 10th grade, James Shark got detention for something really stupid. Sneezing! One day when he was taking a test, he let out a loud, slimy sneeze. His teacher went off and gave him detention for disturbing the peace. He still ended up getting an A in her class and laughs about it to this day.
How Helbin's parents love to reminisce on Facebook about all the weird shit that he said when he was younger. One of their favorite stories to tell is from when Helbin was 9 years old. He and his sisters were playing UFC and he yelled,
"I'm gonna squat thrust you into a coma!"
Helbin's dad posted the video of it to Facebook and tagged him in it. The next day, all his friends in high school yelled that at him whenever possible.
One time, Tolop had to fly interstate to visit his mum. He told his roommate to look after their apartment while he was gone and specifically said no parties, as his roommate's parties always got way out of hand. Unfortunately, when Tolop was at the airport waiting for his flight, he realised he'd left his ticket at home. He had to race back to his apartment where he found 50 drunk strangers partying in his living room. Tolop yelled, "Get out!" and marched into his roommate's room. His roommate was drunk and naked, even though Tolop had only been gone for like 2 hours. Tolop went to get his ticket and found his entire room was trashed. His plane ticket had been ripped into pieces and scattered all over the floor. Needless to say, Tolop missed his flight because of this. The next day, he made his roommate clean the whole apartment from top to bottom.
Tolop was at the vet getting his dog some food, and at this particular store, there was a cat that had just wandered around everywhere. This particular time, the cat hopped up on an empty shelf, right on top of a price tag of $50. As the cat sat there, a woman entered the store, saw the cat, and said, "I would like that cat, please." The employee was confused and asked what she had meant. The woman started complaining that the cat was for $50, even though the price tag clearly said it was for a box of catnip. Tolop took the dog food and left, but while he was leaving, he heard the woman still screaming, "If you don't give me that cat, I will steal it!"
This one time, Emoji and his friends were having a big night out. They were super drunk and decided that obviously it would be a great idea to prank call businesses. Emoji decided to prank call this mobile mechanic company called Lube Mobile. Unfortunately, no one answered, which made sense seeing as it was the middle of the night. So Emoji left a voicemail where he drunkenly ranted about how he needed lube and how he'd heard they were the lube experts. He imagined the workers coming in on Monday morning and having to hear such a stupid message from drunk kids. The funniest part is Emoji only remembered their phone number because their ad had such an annoyingly catchy jingle on it. So their advertising worked, just probably not the way they wanted it to.
On the first day of 5th grade, Ladybot walked into the classroom where there was only the teacher and this one girl she never saw before. Ladybot went inside and unpacked all her stuff when the teacher told them that she had to go do something. When she walked out, the girl walked up to Ladybot and said, "You have a very big and beautiful looking butt." Ladybot stared at her for a while and then she continued, "Hey, my name's Ariana, but you can call me anytime." She then sat on Ladybot's desk and smiled at her. Ladybot said,
"I am very sorry, but as a female, I don't date other females."
After she said that, Ariana began to laugh and then tried to kiss her. Ladybot grabbed her purse with a phone in it and walked out of the classroom, up the stairs, out of school. She walked all the way home and skipped school for a week.
Every summer, Melissa goes swimming at a public pool. One time, she saw a preteen girl and her 5-year-old brother cooling off in the shallow end. The boy was bored, so he started splashing his sister and laughing about it. The preteen girl did not like this one bit and totally overreacted by screaming at her brother and holding his head underwater for 15 seconds. When she finally let him go, he was crying and coughing up water. His sister screamed, "You deserve that! Don't ever splash me again!" Her poor brother then ran out of the pool straight to his parents. Melissa was tempted to give the bratty girl a taste of her own medicine. What a bitch!
When Nixium was in the last year of middle school, he really wanted to get this cute girl in his class to go out with him, so he asked his best friend to find out what she liked. He found out she really liked music, so one day Nixium started to lie that he could play guitar. Every time he saw her, the lie would get bigger and bigger, until he convinced her he was a guitar master. Nixium knew he wouldn't be able to get away with it forever, so he asked his mom to buy him a guitar so he could secretly practice. He started carrying his guitar around with him everywhere. For weeks his crush asked him to play her a song, but Nixium always made excuses to get out of it. Eventually she realized he was full of crap and dumped him. Nixium was mad about losing her, so he started practicing guitar every day to prove her wrong. He now plays in a successful death metal band, so at least some good came out of his lie.
When Mikhailum was 8 years old, he was part of a t-ball baseball team. During a game, the ball landed next to a patch of mushrooms. After McCollum threw the ball back, he and his right fielder went to check it out. They were the type of mushrooms that left a cloud of dust when stepped on, so McCollum wanted to step on them, but the other kid got there quicker than him and started picking them like flowers. McCollum ended up getting mad and said, "Those are poisonous, your whole arm is gonna fall off!" The kid started freaking out and screaming. When his parents tried calming him down, he explained the lie about the mushroom. For whatever reason, he wouldn't believe his parents when they told him it was just a lie. So instead, they gave him a leaf from a nearby tree and told him that his arm won't fall off as long as he holds onto that leaf. For the next 3 weeks, he brought that leaf with him to every practice and game. A few years ago, Honeybits and her 2 best friends went to the library. While they were sitting around, Honeybits' 2 friends started arguing. It wasn't over a boy or grades. It was over whether penguins were considered seafood. Honeybits listened to them argue for 2 whole days over this dumb question. At first, it was kind of funny, but it eventually became really annoying. In the end, Honeybits had to get a teacher involved to finally put the question of whether penguins were seafood to bed.
Well, Pandora had invited her boyfriend over to meet her parents and have dinner with them. His parents had an emergency and had to leave him behind. He didn't say a word throughout dinner. When they finished, Pandora told him,
"Love, why haven't you spoken to my parents? It's embarrassing."
Then he looked up at Pandora and said,
"Well, today I went to buy condoms and I was really excited. I told the cashier to wish me luck tonight, and the cashier was your brother."
That night, Pandora's mom made him sleep on the couch.
When Doopy was 16, she worked at a fast food place that was known for being a pothead hangout. A few months into working there, she had a customer come in and ask for a cheeseburger without cheese. Doopy laughed, thinking they were joking, put it down as a hamburger since that was cheaper. The customer saw this and got really mad. She asked why Doopy put it down as a hamburger, and Doopy explained that a cheeseburger without cheese is a hamburger. The customer would not accept this and insisted that they were 2 different burgers. Eventually, Doopy called her manager out to settle this. The manager repeated Doopy's explanation, but the customer just got madder and even threatened to sue. In the end, Doopy did what the woman asked and put the sale through as a more expensive cheeseburger. The crazy woman never came back.
Tulip's dream started out with him and his cousin running towards a pool with inner tubes around their waist. As they were running, the sky went jet black and a spotlight turned on from behind them. Then they saw a bunch of foxes running in front of them, and at the end of the line of foxes was a blue coyote staring at them with cold black eyes. Tulip blacked out in his dream, only to wake up lying on a bus seat. Some kid was eating a burger in front of him, and one of Tulip's feet had gone missing. When the kid finished his burger, he asked the bus driver for another one. The bus driver grabbed a huge cleaver from his belt and began to hack away at Tulip's remaining foot, sending blood all over the place. When Tulip woke up in the real world, he realized that combining Mountain Dew and pixie sticks before bed probably wasn't the greatest idea.
When Hellbent was a junior in high school, his mom chaperoned a band trip. Hellbent was hanging out with his friends in the back of the bus, while his mom was up front talking with the other parents. Hellbent was joking around about something stupid, and at some point he said something along the lines of, "I'm the manliest guy ever." Almost on cue, his mom shouted back at him, "Honey, it's gonna be cold when we get there. You want me to give you your sweater?" All of Hellbent's friends started cracking up, and Hellbent just shut up and slumped into his seat. When he didn't respond, she just threw the sweater at him anyway, just in case he needed it. Doopy was spending the night at her boyfriend's house. He was gonna give her a promise ring, but didn't have the money. So, he asked her for the money, and got it. She was using the bathroom, but her boyfriend thought that she was putting on lip gloss. He burst into the bathroom with the ring and yelled,
"Marry me!"
Doopy screamed, and he yelled, dropping the ring in the sink. He was sorry, and Doopy was okay with it. They didn't talk to each other the whole day. They watched Rick and Morty, and at the end, Doopy started laughing and said, "What's wrong with you?" while chuckling.
The worst time a secret came back to haunt Honeybits was when she was 11 and went on a trip with her Girl Scout troop. Before going on the trip, the leaders asked if she made any noise while she slept, such as snoring or using a breathing machine. Her parents said that she didn't. One morning, she woke up to find 2 of the leaders standing over her. One of them asked why she screamed in her sleep the night before. Honeybits didn't know what they were talking about until one of her friends told her that she was screaming bloody murder in the middle of the night. Her friend said,
"You kept screaming, 'Let her in! She didn't do it! Mommy doesn't hate us!'"
She then asked Honeybits what she had been dreaming about. That was when she told the secret. She had PTSD and had been dreaming about her father's girlfriend who had been abusive towards her and her sister. It happened when Honeybits was 4 and lasted until she was 6. At the next Girl Scout meeting, the leaders kicked her out, all because she screamed in her sleep.
Tulip was in the 7th grade. He had a crush on a girl in his class. He decided to make a move, so he sent a very bold text message that said, "Tomorrow, I'm going to take what I want." The next day, Tulip went to her house and tried to kiss her. She wasn't as into the idea as he was and kind of squirmed her way out of it. Tulip ended up giving her an awkward, slobbery peck on the chin. They then sat in complete silence until the girl's mom called them in for an equally awkward family dinner. I guess Tulip and this girl weren't meant to be. The cringiest school memory I had was during my time in 9th grade. I was walking to class and I had a friend. His name was Jobo. He'd always be running and being late to class, but it was this one time in particular that he was really late. I saw him running, and as soon as he was running, he put out his phone, he put some Japanese Naruto music, and he just started running with the wind. I told him, "Hey Jobo, what's the rush?" And he said to me, "I'm late for class." He started doing weird hand gestures, and I don't know if he was in a gang or he was watching a little bit too much Naruto and he was trying to save the Leaf Village. In reality, he was just late for science class, but he made such a ruckus. This dude was feeling himself and everything. He had his arms back and he was feeling his inner shinobi. I'll never forget that day. That day he even went up to me and he told me this: "I'm not going to class late, no jutsu!" And he poofed. And by poof, I mean he ran so fast to class that he barely made it on time. It was so cringy, and I always knew Jobo was a definite weirdo.
You know when something falls over and you're near it, but you didn't knock it over, so you have to be like, whoa, that totally wasn't me. When I was a kid, that happened to me with a huge supermarket display of soft drink bottles in the shape of a pyramid. They were lying flat, which was a recipe for disaster in the first place. And I was walking past and they just started rolling. Within a few seconds, maybe about 30 bottles were bouncing all over the place and shooting jets of soft drink into the air. It was crazy. The store manager came over and escorted me from the store. He informed me that I was banned for life. But between you and me, I went back after a year or so because I'm a badass.
Once, when Sweet Commando was in the 9th grade, he broke up with his girlfriend because she was too clingy. She wouldn't even let him talk to another girl without screaming at the top of her lungs, "Are you cheating on me?" When he did break up with her, all hell broke loose. For a couple of weeks she was fine, but then she started texting Sweet Commando, apologizing and asking him to talk to her. When that didn't work, she started to say, "I'll cut myself if you don't text me back!" One night, while Sweet Commando was in the shower, she called his phone and his mom picked it up. Immediately, his ex started shouting into the phone, "Hello? Hello? I know you're just ignoring me, you little piece of shit! Sweet Commando, if you don't answer me right now, I will!" That's when Sweet Commando's mom spoke up and she said she would report the whole incident to the principal. From that day forward, Sweet Commando never heard from his ex again and had major respect for his mom.
One time, Gooby was in band class and had to do an assessment. She was really nervous about messing up in front of an audience. The teacher assured her that everything would be fine, nothing bad would happen, but Gooby still didn't want to do it. When her turn came, she raised the instrument to her mouth and played one off-key note. The teacher smiled and said,
See, nothing bad happened. Huh?
As soon as he said that, the power mysteriously went out in the entire school. It lasted the entire afternoon and no one could explain why. To this day, Gooby's friends like to tease her, saying she was responsible because of her terrible performance. Which isn't exactly a huge confidence boost, but hey.
When Dolan was 6 years old, two of his friends, Ladybot and Pringle, were fighting over who would be considered his best friend. So, in order to see who deserved the right, they both decided to play a game of tug-of-war and use Dolan's arms as the rope. They both pulled him back and forth until one of them pulled his arm so hard that he fractured his left arm's ulna. Anyways, his parents didn't take him to the hospital for a full 7 hours after the incident because they thought he was faking his injury. In the end, he got a cool-looking purple cast, and the friend that fractured his arm is still his very best friend to this day.